When you look at a world map, you think that every square centimeter belongs to a country. Borders have been drawn, flags have been raised. Maps show us the world as a clean, orderly place. But this is actually an illusion, just a big lie. Because even in that orderly world shown on maps, there are ghost regions that belong to no one. Lands that no country wants to incorporate into its territory, or that all countries want but cannot have. In international politics, these are called Terra Nullius, or no man's land. The 5 places we will visit today are large enough to be countries, but they belong to no one. And you will be very surprised at each place we visit, because while conflicts are being fought over gaining 10 more meters in the world, no one can dominate these lands. I know that when you think of a country with no owner, the first place that comes to mind is Antarctica. But in fact, it does have owners. The continent you call Antarctica was just a fantasy until relatively recently. For thousands of years, sailors imagined that there must be a huge landmass in the south, but the sea was so vast that none of them dared to sail their ships that far. For hundreds of years, the unknown lands in the south remained a fantasy. By 1820, we had bigger and more powerful ships. Russian admirals and British explorers finally gathered their courage. No matter what the outcome, they would sail their ships south and reach the imaginary continent. The journey took months, and they finally found the continent they had always dreamed of. But these new lands were a huge disappointment. The sailors thought they would find brand new countries and new sources of wealth at the end of their journey. But what they encountered were massive walls of ice. It was a strange place where no one lived, where you would freeze the moment you set foot, and where there was no trace of wealth. The centuries-long dream was over. There was no way to cross the ice walls, and no one had the desire to try anymore. Nearly 100 years passed. A Norwegian sailor arrived at this new continent that no one cared about. Unlike the others, he didn't just dismiss it as ice and leave. He planted the Norwegian flag he had brought with him in Antarctica. That's when the story changed. England, New Zealand, Australia, France, Chile, and Argentina took turns planting their flags in Antarctica and claiming it as their own. The most ambitious country was Argentina because it considered these lands its rightful territory. Argentina is the country closest to Antarctica. That's why it wants the largest share of the pie. Argentina has had a base here since 1904. Argentina is the only country with permanent personnel in Antarctica. This might be the subject of another video, but let's get back to our topic now. Even during the period when all countries came one by one to plant their flags, there was an unclaimed region in Antarctica that no one wanted. This is Byrd Land. This is the most difficult place in the world to reach. Antarctica's thickest and most active ice shelf is here. The climate conditions are so harsh that even if you built a base, it would collapse within a few months due to the movement of the ice. There is no oil or other minerals. It is not even suitable for whaling. But these are not the only reasons why it belongs to no one. The United States has prohibited any country from claiming rights to this region of Antarctica. If another country were to plant its flag here, it would find the United States standing against it. Now, here's a question. Since this is a region that offers nothing, completely covered in ice, where life is impossible, why won't America give it to anyone, even at the cost of a war? What's even more interesting is that it doesn't claim it for itself either. Byrd Land is the largest region in the world that belongs to no one. If it were a country, it would be one of the 20 largest countries in the world. We are heading to Europe for the second region. The dispute here actually concerns the division of a huge country. The breakup of Yugoslavia changed all the balances on the maps. To put it simply, 7 new countries were created. When the new borders were drawn, everything looked great on paper. There was no dispute when the border between Serbia and Croatia was drawn. The Danube River would separate the two countries. But geography doesn't care about man-made maps. Over the years, the Danube changed its course. It meandered in some places and created new islands in others. The border had changed. A new dispute began between Croatia and Serbia. Serbia wants the current course of the river as the border because geography demands it. Croatia, on the other hand, says the recorded border should remain because the law demands it. Things get even more interesting at this point because both countries want the eastern bank of the Danube River. The western bank, on the other hand, is completely unclaimed. Neither country wants that area. Why? Because if they both wanted the western bank, both countries' claims would be invalidated. So, The situation is this. There is a piece of land in the middle. Croatia says it belongs to Serbia, while Serbia says no, it definitely belongs to Croatia. In conclusion, there is a region in the middle of Europe, right next to the Danube River, that no one claims. Its name is Gornja Siga. It is the best example of geography disregarding maps, politics, or countries. This time, we're heading from Europe to Africa for a very similar issue, to the most well-known example of Terra Nullius territory. Its name is Byrd Land, and its story involves a third country. When the United Kingdom left Africa, it drew borders for the new countries that would be established. These borders were generally drawn with a ruler. The border between Egypt and Sudan was no different. A straight line was drawn along the 22nd parallel. According to this line, Byrd Land remained in Sudan, while the Halaib Triangle stayed in Egypt. But this border lasted only 3 years because the people living in the Halaib Triangle were Sudanese. So, the United Kingdom drew another border. Under this border, the Halaib Triangle went to Sudan, and in exchange, Byrd Land became part of Egypt. The Halaib Triangle is a strategic location, like a natural harbor right in the middle of the Red Sea. Egypt had no intention of giving it up, but Sudan also wanted it. At this point, we had 2 maps with 2 different borders, and each country accepted the map that suited its interests. The victim was Byrd Land. Neither country wanted it, because whichever country took Byrd Land would actually be giving up the Halaib Triangle. But don't worry, there is someone who wants Byrd Land. An American father came to this region so that his little girl could be a real princess. He planted the flag he had drawn at home and declared his daughter the princess of Byrd Land. Byrd Land was a region that no one wanted, so it was ownerless. And then there is the exact opposite, a piece of land that belongs to no one because 2 giant countries want it. After Europe and Africa, this time we are going to Asia. The places that look like dots between Japan and Russia are actually islands, and these islands are uninhabited. In 1945, the borders between Japan and the Soviet Union were being redrawn. At that time, Japan was a defeated and powerless country. The Soviet Union saw this as an opportunity and seized the Kuril Islands in just 4 days. Japan agreed in the treaty to relinquish all its rights in the region. But there is a critical detail here. The Soviet Union did not sign this treaty. We don't know why they did this. Perhaps they had plans to seize more territory and didn't want to stop. Or perhaps they didn't care that much about definitively seizing these islands. After 50 years, the islands became strategically very important. Today, Russia claims the islands as its own, while Japan argues that the Soviet Union did not sign the agreement, so it is invalid and the islands belong to Japan. Today, these islands officially belong to no one. Finally, we come to the most interesting story on the list. As you know, the United Kingdom is the world's largest empire in terms of land area. Its borders were so vast that it was even given the title of the empire on which the sun never sets. This did not happen overnight. It happened because the United Kingdom seized every opportunity that came its way. The best example of this was Rockall Rock. This 1 square meter rock was an unknown rock 460 kilometers off the coast of Scotland. The United Kingdom occupied this rock with just 4 soldiers. They immediately planted a flag, placed a bronze plaque, and left. Thanks to this small rock, the United Kingdom claimed rights over fishing and natural gas. That little rock had suddenly become valuable. In the years that followed, Russian naval vessels visited the rock numerous times. The 2 countries faced off over this 31-meter rock. The result was that no major natural gas source was discovered in the area. Today, no one wants the rock. But since no one has gone to take it down, the United Kingdom flag continues to fly there. As you can see, the lines on the map are actually just an illusion. Sometimes due to geography, sometimes due to climate, and sometimes due to politics, there are still lands in this world that belong to no one. That's all from me for today. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. See you in the next video. Take care.